Hello and welcome to Manika IS. This is lecture 3 in the series of internal security, and today's topic will be insurgency in Northeast India. So before we begin with insurgency itself, let's discuss a bit about geography of Northeast. So if you see, this is the image of Northeast India, and in this particular region we have 8 states including Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Meghalaya and Sikkim. Okay, it share almost 99% of its border with international states. So this is here you have Bhutan, here you have China, here you have Myanmar, and here Bangladesh. And this itself depict its strategic importance of this region, and this region is inflicted by insurgency. So you understand how much this region is important from internal security point of view of India. Okay, so this is about the geographical location. Further, it is largely a mountainous region and full of natural resources. Okay, so now let's understand the meaning of term insurgency. See, when you are reading internal security, you will come across three terms. These are insurgency, militancy, and terrorism. Let us understand these three terms before we proceed further. See, now insurgency and militancy both aim at gaining sovereign and political powers. They want the control over the state. As we see in the previous lecture also, that they want political gain, they want control over the state. This is their main aim. Okay, but then what is the difference between the two? Whenever you use the term insurgency, that means it's an armed rebellion from within the state itself. Okay, from within the state. However, whenever you use the term militancy, it is also an armed rebellion, but by outsiders, not from the state, not from the insider, not from the people living in that state, from other countries or other states. This is the basic difference. Although the aim remain the same, how the people who are conducting the armed rebellion are different. This is the difference. Okay. Further, their target is never state. Oh, sorry, never civilians. They always target the state symbols. While we were discussing about the term, the extremism in mainland India, in there we discussed like they always attacked the state symbol in physical infrastructures. Okay, then they attacked politicians, they attacked army, they attacked police forces. So these all are state symbols. So this is their main aim, main targets, and their aim is to gain sovereignty and political power. Okay, now this was about insurgency and militancy. So how to use these two terms? Always in terms of Jammu and Kashmir we use militancy because it is organized by the people who are living outside Jammu and Kashmir, not within itself. However, when you talk about extremist movements, as we discussed earlier, as we'll be discussing in this lecture only also, they will use the term insurgency. But what about terrorism? So the purpose of terrorism is never to gain the political power. ठीक है, it is always to instill fear, to make their presence felt. So it is generally a tool of proxy warfare which is being used by other countries. So the purpose is to instill fear and terror in the mind of people. Okay, and they do not shy from attacking civilians also. They do attack civilians as well. However, when they're attacking the civilians, their target is not to attack civilian but they are using civilians as a means to instill fear in the mind of people who are in the political power. So they want to instill fear in the state only, in within the people also, and within the political power also. So this is the difference between terrorism, militancy, and insurgency. So where to use these words now, I hope it is clear. Okay, now let us understand the reasons and the causes behind the rise of insurgency in Northeast. So we'll discuss r- reasons and causes. Reasons or causes of insurgency in Northeast. Okay. See, you need to appreciate the fact that Northeast in itself is a very diverse region. Okay, so you will see that a lot of tribal people are living there, so they are culturally, ethnically, and linguistically very different. Not amongst the state, but within the state itself. Okay, so you will find that movement are there within the state itself, amongst the state also, and among the country also. Okay, so this is, so if you will say that there are reason of insurgency in Northeast as a whole, in itself is an issue. Okay, so because due to the difference in their culture, difference in their ethnicity, there are different reasons for insurgent movements in different states. So to club them and say this is the possible together a reason for insurgency in Northeast is itself is an issue. Okay, so because it's like one policy fits all doesn't suits here, because since the reason are different, the way you have to tackle them is also different. Okay, so but however we'll try to understand first very general reasons, and then we'll move forward to individual states and the reason behind insurgency in those states. Okay, so first reason is historical reason. Historical. Now, historically, what happened was, if you see, Northeast was never governed by Britisher directly. Okay, so were never able to get control of Northeast as a whole. Although they said that they are ruling the Northeast also, but they were never able to move beyond the valley region of Brahmaputra. So in this area only they could make their presence felt. Other than that, in the other region, because the tribals did not let them move beyond that region and enter their areas, there was hardly any thing, where they could come in and spread their areas forward to. However, they always used it as a buffer between other countries. Okay, but they were never be able to directly control the region of Northeast. Now understand why they wanted to, why they were able to capture the Brahmaputra. They were able to capture the Brahmaputra valley because they did deforestation in that area, because they wanted to set up a tea plantation in order to counter the tea plantation which was coming from China. Okay, so they wanted to counter that, and similar terrain was there, similar region is there, the river also is same, Brahmaputra. So that was the area which was more suitable for the tea plantation of equally good quality. So they wanted to capture that area. However, beyond the valley region of Brahmaputra, they couldn't move forward because of the backlash or the uh, uh, refrain that they received from the tribal people out there who were there in these states. And because this region was never in control of same Britishers who were controlling the mainland India, as we call it. Okay, so they could not feel the feeling of unity of India as we feel, because the set of problems that both of them were facing are different. Britishers were never controlling them directly, so they never felt the heat of Britishers. Okay, but they always had their own challenges. It's not that it was black and white. They were ruled by officers out there, and however the intensity different, so it was different. So they always had a feeling of alienation. Further, it is also said when the movement was there that feeling of alienation, feeling of alienation. indirect control, indirect control of British. So and many of them also feel that they were never asked to give their say was never asked. Only before they were included in indian country, India as a country, when it was made in 1947. And that is why you see, if you have read the polity, that integration of northeast state took a time. Many states were bifurcated later. It came in, it was first, like Tripura was also given a status of associated state, and then it was included in India after a certain time, when people were okay, we're ready to come into the state, but still the ethnic conflict remained. And this was the reason that assimilation in northeast still took time. Okay, so this was one reason, historical reason, which was there. They had the feeling of alienation, they still have, for because they never were directly under control of British. And this was the reason that it took time even for the political integration of the country, when we read about the political history of country also. So this was one reason. Now let us understand the geographical reasons. See, as we have discussed earlier, that the terrain is very hilly, rocky terrain is there. So now this terrain is one thing which facilitates insurgency, because it becomes easier for the people who are conducting violent attacks, to hide in the forest areas, to carry out guerrilla warfare. This is one thing that has helped. Second issue is they have porous borders with other countries. Now, because the borders are porous, it is very difficult to keep a check on the movement of people out in the borders. Second, it has also aided in organized crimes. It has also aided in organized crimes, which in turn has facilitated the movement of funds, which is required to facilitate insurgency. So now it has become a circle, that insurgency facilitate organized crime, and organized crimes facilitate insurgency in Northeast. This is another issue. Third issue is safe havens. Because of the proximity of international borders, aided by the porous borders, they are able to have their safe havens in the countries like Myanmar and Bangladesh. So you see that the internationally, if you have reading the newspaper, there were a time when it was Myanmar who helped in getting arrested few of the insurgents. We will discuss, and we'll be discussing the state issues separately, but the Indian government seeked help of Myanmar also. So this is another importance of the region when it comes to strategic importance of the region and the neighborhood, Indian neighborhood countries. Okay. Third issue is socio-economic factors. Socio-economic factors. Now, if you see the socio-economic factors, if you see them, what is it like? The people in the Northeast are very literate, okay. However, they do not have economic or job opportunity out there due to lack of infrastructure, lack of infrastructure plus lack of industries, which is again due to geography. The terrain itself is so difficult that it is very difficult to build infrastructure as well as industries out there. And because they do not have job opportunities there, one, they do not have job opportunities there. Second, they have to come to the mainland India to get good job opportunities, and whenever they reach here, they face racial discrimination. Okay. Racial discrimination, they are always treated, sometimes they're also treated as an outsider. So it was a famous incident that once, when the CM of Arunachal Pradesh came to the mainland India in Delhi, the security officers questioned him, like, "From you are from which country?" Okay, so this is such an embarrassment to the even for the CM also, you know. So imagine what kind of treatment where the people of Northeast will be getting here. So nowadays, you know, government and many government have started initiative of understanding the ethnicity of Northeast also. So if you see, DU once has started an integration project with Assam so that people get the understanding of Northeast, that these sort of steps are most welcome in order to create sensitivity towards people. Okay, so and so that they do not face racial discrimination, and which now if they are facing racial discrimination, imagine this is also fueling the feeling of annihilation or alienation that they are already having, which in turns fuels the insurgency. So this should not happen, you know. In your own country you should not be questioned like that, you know. You should not be treated differently, although we have different sort of discrimination, but discrimination in any form should not be there in country or even outside country, even in the world it should not be there, but at least in your own home it should not begin with, right? So this is one reason. Now the other thing is, other factors are political factors. Political factors. See, the people in Northeast, they have always felt that they have always kept isolated from their political positions. Okay, they didn't get the political power as much as they could have. One. Second, if you see, if you will discuss in states again, this the number of seats given to all the communities is not representative. Third, if you have read about the Schedule 6, okay, now Schedule 6 is not completely uh, applicated. Okay, the village councils were supposed to be there, district councils, but you'll find that still these issues are there. So recently in news was there that in Nagaland, the elections for urban local bodies, which is mandated by our 74th Amendment Act, urban local bodies elections were conducted only once. So far, till today, only once the urban body elections were conducting. That too, the 33% mandatory reservation for women was not given to women. Now, the women were demanding 33% reservation in that. So, you understand the political backwardness and political inequality which is being there. Second, if you have seen the example of uh, Manipur, if you see recently what happened was the violent clashes are still there. When we are discussing also, violent clashes are there going on in Manipur because Maiti's government put forward a proposal of including Maitis, which is the dominant population in that area, into scheduled tribes. So this move was highly opposed by by the other communities of the region. Okay, so that is why Manipur is still facing violent activities. Now all these things fuels violence, and which in turns fuels insurgent movements in these areas. Okay, now if you will see, next point is psychological and cultural reasons. Psychological and cultural reasons. Now, for more than a decade, more than 2 decades or so, people in Northeast have always thought to be psychologically isolated from mainland. Further, they have always felt, and it is true to an extent, that the issue of Northeast has always has not been given considerate uh, proportion of time to deal with. Okay, so they have always felt psychologically alienated. Okay, and the cultural diversity. So today, if you see that in Delhi, you will see many hearts of Northeast culture being organized in INA. Okay, what is the purpose? Is purpose to create cultural sensitivity only. So these are the initiative which we have seen in the recent time, and which is there and which is improving also. However, still the psychological and cultural barriers are there. So the now this psychological alienation have always, they have felt that they can pick up arms at any time, okay, because they have been doing it. So the violent people, the radical people in Northeast, I would say, who are responsible for insurgent movement, they believe that because of the lack of integration, because of the lack of assimilation in with the mainland main political uh, or cultural places, they do feel that they can pick up an arm and ammunition at very easily. So these are the reason that are general reasons for the rise of insurgency in Northeast. Going forward in the next lecture, we'll be discussing insurgency in different states with the different reasons, and what is the present state. So presently, uh, largely they have been able to stop the insurgent movement, but it is still prevalent in few states that we'll discuss in the next lecture. So till then, revise it, read it. If you have any question, you may please ask, and all the best. Good evening, have a good day. Thank you.